Hello, this is Sean for TightPoker.com, and we're going to be going through a series of videos of a microstakes player who's been watching the videos on Tight Poker and wanted to submit his hand histories. Have me look through them. His name is Custo80, and we'll be looking at the play. These hands are from Poker Stars, and so he sent me the hand histories, and I imported them into Hold'em Manager. And I'm just going to replay the good hands and the bad hands, and we'll talk about some of the strategies. Again, with the microstakes play, if you've seen any of the other videos, it's a very straightforward approach. You don't need to really be thinking outthinking your opponents because they don't have brains, so you can't really outthink the witless. The idea is that you play good hands, you play them hard, and you get value for your monsters because people tend to not fold. When you get to 25 no limit, 50 no limit, you begin to see your first true absolute nits, or they're playing a 10-8 style, meaning they're only in 10% of the hands, they're only raising 8% of the time. But when you play 5 no limit, 10 no limit, you're really seeing some goofy play, so there's some money to be made and actually build a bankroll here, so we'll just get into it. First hand here, King in good position. We have folds around, and I like the raise. Typically for these micro stakes like 25 no limit and below, I go 4 times the big blind plus 1 for every limper. So 50's fine, 60 would have been ideally perfect. And you get one caller out of a 65 one player, so this is a loose passive fish. You're looking to make a lot of money from this person. And so you get another caller from a 70-13, another fish. It looks like a real juicy table, but definitely some landmines to avoid. Flops all unders, 8-9-8. When you've got a board like this, you certainly are c-betting. And it's checked in, and you bet, and that's a really nice size bet amount. 155. You get a caller. Another card comes, so at this point you're probably looking to just get your opponent in. The pot's $4.85. He's got $6, so going 354 is fine. Otherwise, if you stick it all in here, that's great too. Any 9's going to call you. Obviously, you're beat with an 8, but pocket 10s. Even pocket 7s might call you, ace 9 calls you, so lead out with 5, you bet the pot, that's great. And you get a call. And so with the deuce, there's only one bet left here for $1.15, and your opponent calls and shows queen 9 top pair, which is just crushed, so nice job. Alright, it's our next hand. This time you've got 44 on the big blind. One caller, 2 callers, and the small blind raises to 50 cents. And typically when you're set mining here with your pocket pairs, you do want multi-way action. If it's heads up, you're really not getting the necessarily implied odds that people might make you believe that you are, because people don't always stack off when they've got top pair and you hit your set. So it could be a bit of a drain, but these micro stakes, no one ever sees that coming, so it's fine. Because you've got 2 limpers here, this is an absolutely great opportunity to set mine. One of these guys, if not both of them, are going to call this raise. No one's going away. So you're definitely calling. I mean, you're never folding in this situation. And you make the call. And we get one caller, like I thought we would. This player looks quite tight. So the player who made this original raise, 13-5-1, he's a tight passive fish. He's not getting involved in many hands, and when he is, he's not betting them. So he's really, anything post-flop from this guy is the nuts, basically. And you flop your set. Got a pot of $1.60. So he doesn't c-bet, which really makes me think he's on an ace-king, ace-queen type of hand. And if he check raises you, he's got aces or kings, which is the best case scenario here. So he checks, and you certainly don't slow play it, which is good. There's not much coordination on this board, but you do have the flush draw, so you've got to bet it. The 90-cent bet is just fine. You get a caller from this guy who looks like he's just probably going to be a calling station anyways, and our original raiser folds probably with his ace-king. The 5 comes, and now certainly it's definitely not time to slow play as anyone with a 3. Ace-3 has you beat, unfortunately, but you still have outs. But you got to be betting. $3.40 pot, $2.50, $3 even. So it's a little low for my taste. It's not even half the pot. So I don't like this bet at all. You're not quite giving good odds, but certainly someone's going to try to draw if they're on one of the draws, since there's straight draw and now 2 flush draws. So I would expect nothing less than a call from your opponent. And the 3 hits, which is probably the worst card in the deck for you, the flush draw filled, and you've got a straight draw with any ace. So I might check call here, even though you're probably ahead of a 32-3. But maybe a feeler bet for half pot is fine too. So you bet the full, nearly the pot here, and I'm guessing you really didn't think he had any of the draws. But I might have bet half pot or check called here. There's just so much that might beat you, and he just folded. So your read's better than mine, but a hand well played, definitely up to the river. Okay, here we are with kings. We have someone who posts out of turn with a short stack, and we have a short stack in the big blind. So when you make your raise, for those of you that don't know, you always need to make sure that you account for this person when you're raising. So 4 times the big blind, 40 cents, plus 1, 50. So hopefully that's the case. Maybe if someone raised in front of you. But the 50-cent raise is great. That's the right amount. So it looks like your bet sizing is well on its way to being great. It was definitely way ahead than where I was when I was playing 10 no limit. So, and then great, the short stack shoves. It's an insta call, and you take it home. Nice job. Okay, we've got ace-10 in mid position. It's not a great hand, really. It might be one that you might want to consider folding. But ace-10 suited, I mean, not to be a hypocrite, but I'll raise this in this position, 100% of the time playing the upper limit. So that's fine. I just want you to be careful and keep in mind, like if we were on under the gun here, I would suggest folding it. But once you get in mid position, you get rid of those first 2 guys, then you've got some breathing room to make your raise. And certainly it looks like you're at a much tighter table than what we were seeing in the previous hand. So make your raise, 40 cents, and the big blind calls. And he's a 24-15, 1.4. So loose aggressive, I guess. Loose kind of before the flop, and after the flop he's only playing if he has a hand. So this is a dream flop. You may not think so, but it really is. You flop top pair and you flop the nut flush draw. So at this point you want to get it in. Against this guy, even if he has ace queen, it's a flip. So he checks and you check. That is absolutely the wrong thing to do. You've got to be c-betting this. The pot's 85 cents. You need to be putting 60 cents at least in here, if not potting it. I really don't like that check. You're losing value. Other hands will call you. Any ace will call you. Pocket nines will call you. Even a pair of eights, 89. Sorry about that. So anyways, yeah, bad check. I definitely recommend a continuation bet there. So now you flop top 2 pair and the nut flush draw, and there's no excuse for not at least getting some money in here, if not potting it. And he bets into you, so he's showing some interest in this pot, and at this point you've got to raise. You've slow played it. I mean, at the flop. I mean, a turn does give away that you've got some sort of hand. A turn raise definitely is always a scary thing, but I mean, you've got so much here going on that you've got to get value for your big hand. So I'd raise this to $1.50, which is about what the pot is right now, and you flat, which I definitely disagree with. It's another 8, so basically you're ahead of everything except for a hand that has an 8 in it, right? Because I mean, you're ahead of you're behind deuces or pocket tens, but it's unlikely. So he bets into you, and I would still be raising here. Yeah, I'd be raising, and probably up to like 350. I still think you're way ahead, even though you missed your flush. You've got top 2 pair, and if he's got an ace, I mean, he's calling you. He's got a 10, he's calling you. So you're way ahead of his range. You're way ahead of what he probably has. It'd be a cooler if he had an 8. He definitely doesn't have a set. He'd be betting it a lot more pre-flop or at the flop and turn. So given the hand's history, I definitely think you're way ahead here.